Who will be Connecticut's next governor? The field is thinning, and in the coming weeks, it will shrink some more. Today on Face the State, we are joined by Republican candidate for governor Aaron Stewart and Democratic candidate Ned Lamont. What will happen at the conventions? Mark Pasniokis of the Connecticut Mirror has some predictions. Plus, our flashback, an historic launch here in Connecticut with the newest weapon to fight the Russians. It's all straight ahead this Sunday morning, May 6th, 2018.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us. I'm Dennis House. A very good Sunday morning to you. Today we are joined by two of the bigger, more well-known names in the race for governor, Ned Lamont and Aaron Stewart. And we begin with Mr. Lamont. He is 64 years old. He founded Campus Televideo. He was a Senate candidate in 2006 and a gubernatorial candidate in 2010. And Mr. Lamont is back with us today, and good to see you here in the program.
Good morning, Dennis.
Of course, your big news this week was that you were endorsed by Mayor Toni Harp. Tell us how that came to be, because there was an assumption she was supporting Joe Ganim because they had gotten together in that casino idea a while back.
Well, I've known Toni for a while. I think she's been a great mayor for New Haven. I think that New Haven is going to be the center of our economic renaissance. So I was very, very proud when on Thursday Toni endorsed me. I said I was going to be a champion for cities, not at the expense of our small towns, but a champion for our cities. And we did it at Tweed Airport. And working in close collaboration with the neighbors there, I really believe that an enhanced use of Tweed Airport for more regional service is going to be a big piece of economic development for the greater New Haven, East Haven region, and central Connecticut. Those are the type of building blocks that get jobs back to the state.
There are many out there who believe you to be the Democratic frontrunner right now. You were just endorsed by Jonathan Harris last week, and you seem to be coalescing a collection of delegates for the convention, yet you still have Susan Bysiewicz and Joe Ganim to deal with. What kind of conversations have you had with them about the future of the party?
Well, we travel the state a lot together. We go to DTCs, Democratic Town Committees. We do gubernatorial forums. I saw them Thursday in Stamford. But we just have sort of very informal conversations on the side. We haven't had anything more substantive than that.
Have you ever said to them, join me and we can together beat the Republicans in the fall?
No, we haven't had that conversation at all. Generally, Jonathan Harris, I love. We got to know each other very well. He knew all the candidates very well after 4 months of campaigning together. And, he approached me when he said it was time for him to step back. And I really appreciated his endorsement. He knows how Hartford works, so he's a good guy to have on our team.
What is your convention strategy?
Our convention strategy is to call all 2,000 delegates. And I've had a close personal relationship with 200 of them, and I've gotten to know 1,800 of their answering machines. And I keep calling them and telling them why I'm running and why I want to earn their support. I think we're having a pretty good support from the small towns, the suburbs, and some of the cities. And I think that's how Democrats win in November, by showing broad-based support.
Do you expect to be the endorsed candidate at the convention?
I'm going to work my tail off every day to see if I can earn your support.
Would a primary be bad for the party?
Look, how can I say that? I'm the guy that took on Joe Lieberman some years ago, and the party said, no, don't do it, don't jeopardize a safe seat. But it was a primary over a big and important issue that I think the Democrats had to sort out. So I would say in 2018, if a primary is about important issues, if there are real differences of issues between me and the other candidates, that's when you have a primary. If they're not really about issues, if it's more about personality or electability, let the delegates sort that out and have a nominee.
There are no candidates for lieutenant governor right now in the Democratic Party, which means you'll get to choose a running mate at the convention. Chris Powell had suggested that perhaps it should be you and Susan Bysiewicz. What do you think about that?
Well, I've got a list of folks that I'm talking to. A lot of folks have come forward, folks that I've reached out, and I think I'm going to have to make up my mind on that, sooner rather than later, but I'm really not there yet.
Are you surprised that the race has thinned out to where you now are the presumed frontrunner?
We had a lot of candidates, let's face it. I mean, there were 8 of us lined up like tin soldiers at these gubernatorial forums. And now there's a smaller group, but some of them are talking about petitioning and running the process. And the Republicans have all their candidates still in the race. I think it's good to get down to 2 or 3 viable candidates, let them sort it out at the convention.
As you know, the polls are not very kind to Governor Malloy right now. 21% disapprove of his job performance, more than 70%, or rather 21% approve, more than 70% disapprove. Where do you fall? Do you approve or disapprove of his job performance right now?
Hey, look, Dan inherited a mess. He funded the pension. He did important things on criminal justice reform, but we didn't solve the problem. We have not solved the fiscal crisis that's confronting the state, just like it did in 2010 when I challenged him. And I said, if we nickel and dime around the edges, we're going to have the same problems 8 years later that we have now. So for me, it's not about where we've been, but where we're going. And I think I give the Democrats the best opportunity to turn the page, represent a fresh start as an outsider coming up to Hartford, changing the way we do business. That's how we win, and that's how we govern.
Would the state be in better shape today had voters chosen Ned Lamont instead of Dan Malloy in 2010?
If they had chosen Ned Lamont, I would have made more of the tough decisions earlier. You really only have 2 or 3 years to do it before you're in a different cycle. And I think what was so tough for our economic confidence in the state, every 2 years going through this budgetary hell. So I would have tried my best. Whether I could do it or not is another question, but I would have tried even harder to solve that earlier. Get all the bad stuff behind us, get an honestly balanced budget, and that's what I got to try and do next year as governor. Get a first honestly balanced budget this state has had in many years, so we know where we're going. Stop borrowing from the future, but invest in the future.
As you know, your party was very critical of the Republicans when they nominated Tom Foley, saying he was a wealthy businessman from Greenwich with no state capital experience. And now there's some are saying the Democrats are also going to be heading toward nominating a wealthy man from Greenwich, businessman with no state government experience. How do you respond to that?
Look, I'm a successful business person. I'm proud of everything I did with Campus Televideo and folks that work with me like this for 35 years. I've also been elected in my hometown. I was a teacher at Harding High School in Bridgeport. I'm a professor at Central Connecticut State. I've worked like heck for the last 8 years, Dennis, trying to get business and labor together on job creation, on wooing Infosys to get them to the state. And those are the type of things I want to do as governor. I've had some success as a private citizen, but I want to do it as governor to get this state moving again.
Our next guest is Erin Stewart, Republican mayor of New Britain. What would your line to the voters of Connecticut be, perhaps against her or against whoever the Republican nominee is, that they should not go with a Republican this time and instead go with you?
I've just met Erin a little bit, but I think two things. One, you don't want Connecticut going Trump red. You want this to be a state where we respect Connecticut values, be that diversity, be it reproductive rights, be it respect for women, be it the environment. And number two, I would say a Democrat gives us the best chance to honestly negotiate our way through this fiscal crisis we've got right now. Rather than declaring war on the unions and tearing up the contracts, I'm going to work side by side with labor, the taxpayers, business, folks I know pretty well, folks who have gotten to know me a lot better in the last 8-10 years. I think that's why I give us the best chance to actually govern through these tough, tough times.
Ned Lamont, Democratic candidate for governor. Perhaps we'll see you on our special live Democratic Convention special on Sunday, May the 20th, if you're the endorsed candidate.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Lamont. Thanks for coming on. When we come back, we'll talk with Erin Stewart, and we invite you to watch past editions of Face the State. All the interviews with the candidates are right here on our website, WFSB.com, or on our new YouTube channel. We'll be right back.